volume, you've got a moderate level of volatility and a large amount of trust. And so part of the IEO offering that people aren't talking about is the strength in the Binance coin for people to be able to trust large sums of money to be moved into BNB, held for a period of time, and then into this other new currency. That's a new level of trust for the Binance coin. Now, it's very hard to build that kind of level of trust just from day one, which is what a lot of product or service currencies are trying to do. They're trying to say, spend large amounts of my currency and we'll redeem for this product or service. Whereas actually, it's much better generally to have the foundational building blocks of your economy in place, trust in your currency, and then move into larger.
If you look at their token economy, as you say, it started with the simplest part, which was transaction fees. But now, if you look at all the things that they've added, and I'll give a few examples. I mean, one of them is, if you want to get on their launch pad, you have to buy BNB coins in order to then use the BNB coins to buy the Launchpad project, whatever it is. So that's creating buying behavior. And if a lot of people don't manage to get the coins, which they often don't, they're still holding the BNB coins. So they've created an artificial more buying than there is selling of their own coin, which is driving the price up. They, of course, have, which was part of their original model, they have their token burn. So every so often they're burning tokens, and by burning tokens, they're reducing supply. Reducing supply, even if the demand is flat, would still drive the price up, so long as there's trading going on. And then, of course, the other thing that they're doing, which is really clever, is, which I really like, I may have talked with you about this before, is the idea that when you get stuck with all this dust, whether it's dust that's being created by other people's referral codes where they trade and you get a little bit of dust from them, or where you do your own trades and you collect dust, they will literally take the dust and flip it into BNB coins, and they're sweeping up the dust from everybody. But if you sweep up, 0.0001 times 1,000, it's now 0.01, and that's usually more than enough of something to be of value. So they can sweep up dust in Dash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever coin, Syndicator, Fetch, whatever. And they can sweep up all this dust from all these coins across every user. And actually, they're building up a whole arsenal of other coins that they can then flip to Bitcoin, flip to USD Tether. They could use it to buy BNB with their own coins. So they're creating their own dust. But in the process, they can buy BNB and drive the price up themselves with the other coins. I mean, it's crazy, but that's what a treasury department can do. And all of that is just fueling an economy internally that's just a Binance economy. And I know there's a ton of other things that they're launching and doing, but it just gives a flavor of the stuff I can see that they're doing. It's like amazing. I mean, It's very, very innovative.
Exactly. And it's really healthy because you're building from a foundation in transaction fees where you come back. The reserves could handle redemption.
Yep.
Whereas when we're talking of other projects where it was going to be buy my token and that's a pre-purchase for investment into a privately held company, or it's a pre-purchase for shoes, or it's a pre-purchase for this form of utility, if you don't have the strength in the currency and you get price fluctuation, then if the price is increasing and they've got, say, increased purchasing power, the reserves might have $1 million for redemption, but if the currency's gone up 10 times, then people have $10 million worth of that product or service to redeem. So effectively, what you're committing to in your bank or in your reserves, you can't fulfill the service obligation that you've provided.
Right.
So getting this right is absolutely crucial. And the way I've seen projects handle this is we will keep 30% of our fundraise, ETH or Bitcoin in reserve. And you look at it and say, well, actually, no, what you need is a mechanism to say that at all times, if our coin is a pre-purchase for future utility, we need to be guaranteeing, no matter what our price fluctuation, that we can provide that utility. And I see so many projects still now get this aspect wrong, and they're killing their productive economy before it even exists because they can't meet the pre-sold demand.
No, that's true. Very true. How interesting. So should we move to, let's see, 6, 7, number 8?
Number 8. So, and this is the counter of this point is, can your users handle the price fluctuations? This again comes down to how are you building your economy and currency in tune in different phases. So let's take this Binance Coin example again. If Binance went straight onto Launchpad and didn't have transaction fees, and so didn't have a mechanism for maintaining the price stability and for creating price increase like they do, you might have put in 10K worth of Binance Coin into one of the regional Launchpad projects, and if that 10K had decreased because Binance Coin dropped by 20%, you'd only have 8K worth of purchasing power into this new project. This is a massive problem in most blockchain startups.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you get that you purchase your token and you're like, great, okay, price is fluctuating. Now I want to be able to redeem. Now I want to be able to use my token. My goodness, what I had, either it's increased and the organization can't redeem, can't provide me the service, or it's decreased and I get a half of what I've paid for. Well, that doesn't make sense. I pre-purchased, I was an early supporter, I'm a member of the community, and now I want to get my pair of shoes, or now I want to make my investment, or now I want to redeem for this service, and I only get a half of what I expected, or 1/10, given what happened to prices last year.
Yeah, so the interesting thing there is that normally what I find with the tokenomics on this is that everyone tends to kind of price their service at $1, and the number of tokens you need is determined by the cost of the service at $1 times the number of coins that you have to get, or divided by the number of coins. So where you would find, like, say, for example, okay, I need 1,000 coins today, I might need 10,000 coins tomorrow. And of course, that is troublesome, because if you have a monthly service and you bought a bunch of tokens and now the tokens have dropped and you're like, oh no, now they're only worth half. So it doesn't create a very smart economy. So of course that gets into a whole other discussion around how do you create stable coins, of which we won't talk about here because it is a whole other topic, but it's certainly one that's worth, looking at some point, because I've had discussions with people about stable coins, and projects like Die Maker or the Die Coin are amazing at how they've managed to create the most stable coin out there. And I don't know how they've done that exactly. I haven't investigated in any detail, but it leaves me with a reason to go and investigate, because the tokenomics of trying to use the coin itself, which fluctuates wildly, to then spend it inside the ecosystem of the platform has always been a bit of a troubling part for me and all these token models, because you can't, how am I supposed to spend if I don't know what I'm doing? And I've often said to people, then use a token that's going to be stable. Why don't you just run it in USD Tether? And if you're going to do that, that could be fine as a mechanism for receiving payment, but it doesn't mean that you don't use your other coin in some other way for rewarding people or incentivizing them. You have to be really smart how you do it. I'm not suggesting USD Tether is the answer. I'm just suggesting that people need to get a little bit more clever about how they create an ecosystem so that it doesn't create a fear, but rather just creates comfort.
But the point with the design here that we're really trying to get at is that this is both about the stage of the economy and the price of what is being sold on the economy. And then, it comes psychologically. How do people feel about price fluctuations related to how they want to participate? So where it becomes really important is when you hit that threshold and the fluctuation impacts someone.
Right.
So a transaction point is generally absolutely fine to be able to handle fluctuation. So if I'm using my BNB or another exchange coin for my transaction fees, and it goes up 50 times or it goes down, to 0.1, I'm not super fussed in general about that 5 cent equivalent or the $1 equivalent, because I'm seeing my participation in terms of holding or long-term upside. The utility doesn't matter to me so much, but the moment that comes into it's a $10,000 investment and suddenly there's a 30% drop and now I've only put in 7,000, it matters a huge amount. Now when it's free money, if I purchased early into Ethereum and then I was buying ICOs, I'm less site sensitive. So my users can handle these price fluctuations. But when it's fiat coming in to Ethereum for the first time and going into an ICO and suddenly, my 10K became 7 and now it's 2.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, of
can't.
course. If you invested in and then the coin tanked and now you've got less to spend on the platform, I'm not sure many people actually intended on spending on the platform the day that the coin was released anyway, because let's face it, most of the projects at best had no MVP in 2016. They talked about MVPs in 2017. They had some form of MVPs in 2018, but we still don't see many. We don't have a lot of working products, and here we are in 2019. We're seeing more, but not enough, not significant enough to say, oh yeah, we've got really working products. So without those working products that are fully operational and running, then all we have are what we call bags, which is the worst case scenario for those who actually invested to actually use the platform. But I think most people didn't do that, to be fair. I think most people bought on speculation of the future value of the coin, not buying for the utility of the coin itself.
And this comes down so you need flexibility in your design so that your users at any stage of your economy can handle fluctuations for what they're prepared to pay for on the platform.
Yeah, for sure.
Trying to show an example of like how that can evolve and where your threshold might start, where your threshold might move to, and just really for good design, absolutely don't get people trying to pre-purchase into a product or service and spend high amounts or high volumes of coin on things, because we're saying people could use price or supply to be able to satisfy this, and both create a negative experience for your user, because even if you peg the price to $1 and fluctuate supply, as a user and pre-purchaser, you still lose all of your purchasing power.
Yeah, so the flip to that would be, well, but I stake my coins, and so I'm being given some sort of interest of additional coins, or I'm getting additional coins just for staking or whatever it is. And as a result of doing that, you're actually reducing the total amount of loss that the person has, which means that actually holding the coins may be more advantageous in a bear market than dumping the coins and hoping that the ether goes up and makes back what you've lost. So there is some argument to say that in bear markets, giving people some sort of hold the coin for some sort of utility value isn't a bad thing. And by doing that, you're getting the people more engaged and hopefully more loyal to the project. And in doing that, you have an opportunity to reach out to them more because they've got a node, they've got some sort of reason to be engaged. You should be sending them newsletters, getting them involved, and asking them for help in the project and whatever skills they've got, because they're already committed anyway. And you never know, if you ask people for something and you're giving them some coins for free for staking, you never know. People will probably say, oh, why not? I like this project, I'll help out. And a classic project that does a lot of that in terms of getting community involvement is Litecoin. I mean, it's a foundation. You've got people out there, like, we met Litecoin recently, and they were telling us a story of a guy that's out in New Jersey running around trying to get everybody to adopt Litecoin. Why? He doesn't have any reason to do it. They're not paying him. He's just loyal to the project. He likes what they're doing. He likes the business case, the use case, and that kind of loyalty is just unquestionable. Like I told you off camera, my loyalty to Apple is ridiculous because it works and it does what I want and more. And so I will sit there and I will talk, and if Apple wants to come on the show and ask me why I like Apple so much, that's fine too. But I mean, that's what loyalty does. And because of that loyalty, I would stake Apple coins and hold the Apple coins. I wouldn't care if Apple price is going up and down, because I know the long-term game is they're giving good products to me. They work. They're continuing to add more products, more services, and therefore I expect the coin will go up in value anyway. I think the problem I see with a lot of staking coins is, why do I want to stake the coins when I don't know what the ecosystem is going to be and where it's going? And that's where the loyalty breaks from the staking, because I don't know the vision and the future. I can say, oh yeah, you've got a roadmap, and you say you've delivered to the roadmap, and I would say, well, I don't really agree that you've delivered. You're kind of sugarcoating your own roadmap now, or other things, right? I want to see people actually deliver and exceed my expectations and say, you know what? Now that we've done the first 18 months, we're going to do this. And it's so much bigger that I say, you know what? I'm hanging on to my coins. I'm going to go stake some more coins. I'm getting into this for the long haul because there's a lot more to come. That's what we need, but that's not happening.
Well, and where it happens quite well is coins that don't fundraise, but they're built out of a mining community. So
sure.
Oh yeah, for example, like Raven coin, for example, and you build.
Yeah, Raven has an amazing community of people that just want to mine the coin for the coin, and I don't sometimes understand why, but they've somehow done it. I mean, I haven't gotten into it, but I have friends who are set up mining operations in Mexico that are like, yeah, I've got a whole mine operation, and if you want to, add your